Hi there, welcome to Transcorner Trailer Sales. Today we'll be walking you through your 2020 Jayco 17X. We're just going to start off the back of the unit. You're going to have two fold-out beds in this unit. They're both going to work the same way. Today I'll show you how to open up the back one. It's pretty simple. Two handles, pull on them. It's going to unlock it. Once you do pull on the second one, just be mindful that this is now unattached. It's going to start coming towards you, so it's always good to either have a second person or just your hand ready to stop you falling right down. It's not very heavy, it's just gotta make sure you catch it on the way down. Once it's down, you kind of have to leave it as is for now until you fully open it, once you get decided to do that. But typically when you were camping, once you had it fully open, you just have to tuck these skirts down, that way you're sealing out any water. Now in this corner, you're gonna have this little guy here opening up that guy. That is typically where you're going to store your sewer hose. We have a brand new one located inside the front compartment, which is why there's not one in there yet. That is where you'll want to do that. You got your 30 amp twist lock connection. Pretty standard. Taking note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this side. Lining that up, pressing it firmly into place, it'll lock down. If you follow that cord back, you do have your standard 30 amp plug end. A lot of campsites should have this. You can plug right on in, but let's say you have your unit at home and you want to run your fridge, or your campsite only has 15 amp service, which is your standard household outlet. We do include that 15 amp park adapter. Just keep it in mind whenever you are using it. You're going down to 15 amps of power. You're not going to be able to run your air conditioner. Realistically, it's just to run your fridge and your lights. Plugging that into place, you get power. In this corner, as well as all four corners of the unit, you do have stabilizer jacks. Put your 3/4 inch drive tool and a 3/4 inch drive nut, which is inside your front compartment. Run this foot down to the ground. Once the foot is contacted on the ground, just give me another 8/4 turn to snug it up. It's going to take me bouncer sway you see we have in the unit right now away. If we come a little more further ahead, you got your sewer outlet. You're just taking note of those ears there. Your sewer hose are going to have the same ears. Lock that into place. You got your gray valve, your black valve. You always want to empty your black one first. It's going to be your dirtiest water, filled from your sinks and filled from your toilets. And then you can come behind that with your gray valve, which is typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. Black tank flush right up here. So the way that guy works is if you're noticing false monitor panels, readings, or an odor around the unit, it's also a good measure to flush out that tank after every couple uses, just to keep things that bit cleaner. You do just throw a garden hose in there, turn it on, and it's going to flush out that tank. Just keep it in mind, you do have to read the caution sticker. It's very important that you have your sewer hose connected and the black tank valve already open when you turn on the water. That way it doesn't push excess pressure inside of the tank, causing it to expand and crack. Furnace exhaust, whenever it's running, it's going to be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. And then you do have your fridge service port, but there's not much you really need to worry about inside of there. Get your fresh water filled, so if you crack that guy open, you can either siphon water in there, fill it up with a water hose, and that's what fills up your fresh tank. That's what your water pump draws off of. Or if you're at a site service, you get your city water connection. You can just thread a garden hose in there, turn it on, pressurize all those lines without the need to run your water pump. Down below here, you get your fresh tank drain. So if you wanted to drain your fresh tank, that would be where you do so. And then you get your two low point drains. So if you're leaving the unit for a while, don't want the water going stale or stagnant, it's a good idea to crack these guys open. It's going to allow most of the water that's inside the lines out. It's always a good measure to crack them open after you're done winterization if you're doing it yourself. That way you can drain out as much antifreeze out of the line as possible. Right here you get your hot water service port. You take that, pop that guy open. 1 inch drain bolt right down here. That's how you drain the tank. We currently do have it empty and winterized, ready for customer pickup. Pulling that guy, it's your pressure relief valve. Whenever you first get to your campsite, it's always a good measure to give this guy a pull. There should be a shot of water coming out of there, letting you know that the tank's full. Again, there's going to be no shot of water because it's empty for us to pick it up. It's just a really good measure, especially if you are firing it on electric, as it's going to suck up gas. Right up front, get your two standard 20-pound propane tanks. They work pretty much just like home, counterclockwise. For the purpose of the video, hold this right out of the way. Get access to the two top of the tanks. You got your selector valve on the front of your regulator here with it pointed this way. You're obviously drawing off this tank. Counterclockwise, turn that on. And now you do have propane inside. Now if this tank were to go empty, you just have to close it, flip this over to this side, open up this tank, and you can continue drawing. Got your battery located inside that box there. Spare tire, Notice this little guy here is going to be the same 3/4 inch drive nut that your stabilizer jacks are. You can run that down if you would ever have a blown tire, which hopefully you don't. Opening up this storage compartment, in the box to my left, you got your weight distribution, which is the customer opted to go for. It's going to be a great little addition to your camper, keeping things that much lighter in your vehicle. On your right side here, you got a jack wheel, front jack wheel in case you wanted to install that. Little light switch here to turn on some accent lighting. Propane quick connect line, as well as your barbecue. Your barbecue is going to have a mount with it as well that's back there. It just hooks onto this channel here. Then you take that quick connect line, run it underneath the floor, and you got your propane quick connect connection right here that's plumbed into your front tanks already. So there's not much you need. You don't need to bring a second tank or anything with you. It's a nice little feature. Right here, you get your range hood flap. Whenever you're camping, you're gonna want to make sure you undo that. That way you're evacuating those propane fumes. But whenever you're traveling or not using the unit, try and remember to snap them back into place. It's going to stop any excess dust from getting inside of the unit. It's also going to help keeping critters out. You got 2 plugins right here. You do get a little TV mount for the outside. And then right here, you got another little switch. Again, it turns on some more accent lighting down below. Pulling on this stairs, comes down, clicks down, that'll allow you to open up your door. Once you get your door opened up, you can take a step on inside. First thing you notice off on the right is that fire extinguisher, which is pretty simple. Pull the pin and shoot. Taking a step on inside, you get your control panel up here on the left. Living room lights that turns on all the main living space lights. And then you got an awning light, which turns on the awning light, of course. Monitor panel system. Pushing the button tells you the corresponding level. And then you got your water heater controls, fire on gas or electric. If you're firing it electric, again, it's crucial you make sure that that tank's already got water in it, because it only takes the electric probe that's inside of there. It only takes it maybe 5 seconds to run out of water. It's going to burn itself out. They're about 120 bucks a piece to replace, I believe. Don't quote me on that. It gets expensive pretty quick if you keep burning them out. Then if you are firing it on gas, pushing that button, making sure that you have your gas on and the system already purged is very important. I'm going to go over purging once we do get to the stove. But again, that is going to be important to do so. But once you do turn that on, water heater is going to try lighting itself 3 times. If on the 3rd try it doesn't light, this DSI fault light's going to come on. In that case, you do just have to turn the switch on, wait about a minute, and then try turning it back on. It'll try relighting itself. It could be, again, just a purging issue. Awning control, push that extend button. The awning's going to start making its way out. Once the awning is at its full extension, you're going to see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hang down. Sometimes the flap can get stuck, so you might just have to retract a couple feet, put it back out again to get it to come down. But now whenever you are putting your awning out, it's always going to be a good measure to keep an eye on the wind speeds. Once they start picking up, you're going to want to make sure you bring that awning in. Now, unfortunately today, that's as far as we're able to go. It's pretty much almost there. You start to see that flap there. But if it were to start raining, you can just hang arm front or rear, pull down at the center like so. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now if you like that angle better, because it's going to allow for more shade underneath, you can do the same thing with the front arm. Just make sure that you do push these arms back to straight before you try and bring the awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. If you have to bring the awning in while it's wet, it's not the end of the world. Just make sure that pinch and extra release convenience, you'll roll it back out and allow it time to dry off. That way you don't accelerate the growth of mold or mildew inside of there. And when you're rolling it in, of course, making sure your arms are both back to straight. Run that awning in. Once the awning contacts the side of the trailer, the motors will automatically cut out. And there you go. So now we can start off in our little bed area. Again, both are going to work the same way. You're going to have a bar just like so. Take that bar. It's going to be kind of hard with the mattress, but if you flip the mattress, put your arm over the mattress, there's going to be another bar behind it, in which case it pulls out. You got those 2 screws telling you that that's the center. Insert this bar onto that bar, and then just push it, and it's exactly like a tent. Folds right out, nice and easy. Pop this guy in its desired spot right there in the roof, and you're good to go. You got another light here. At that point, you can fold in your mattress, and your bed is made. Push on this, bring it down, pull it towards you to get that to fold down. And then I'll take you back on the outside just so I can show you. When you're closing this up, it's going to be very important when you do so. It's always nice to have two people, one on each side, but if you don't, you can do it by yourself. Fold it in and just make sure that the canvas is tucked in. So that way, when it's parked and if it rains, you have a good sealing surface. The water's going to get inside, causing, again, mold and mildew. Do the same thing on the other side. Then push, grab your little handle, clamp it closed, and you're all done. Again, the front one is going to work the same way. Now take a step on inside because your unit is propane. You get your LP detector right here near the ground. If this guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply at the front of the unit. Open up some windows and vents and allow some fresh air inside of here. Right down below, you get your main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever a breaker trips, it'll sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. All the corresponding fuses will be on your right. It's probably going to be a good idea. Grab a few extra fuses. You never know when one could blow. Inside here, storage. It's going to be lots of storage inside of here just whenever you are using it. Just being mindful of drains, water lines, and things like that. You're not going to be wanting to affect any of that. Over here, you got your main kitchen space. Pretty self-explanatory. Microwave up top, range hood down below. I always recommend running your range hood whenever you're running your stove. That way you're evacuating those propane fumes as you're making them. Now, I went over a purging comment earlier, so we'll go over that a little bit more. Once you turn off your propane at the front of the unit, it does allow air into the system. Once air makes its way in, it does have to be purged out. Quickest, easiest way to do that is by just running your stove. And that's because you get to decide how long the gas runs for and how many lighting sequences it goes through. If you went to go to fire up your fridge, water heater, or furnace, those will only try lighting themselves a couple times. And if they don't sense a flame because there's no gas coming to it yet, it can throw a fault code at you. And if you don't know what the fault code means, it's going to throw a little wrench in your weekend and cause you some frustration. So that's why, again, I just recommend coming to your stove quickly when you first get to your campsite, hitting this and turning this over to the high option. Now, when you do so, always making sure that you are ready to hit that sparker, and whenever you're running your gas valve, hitting that sparker every few seconds, so that way you don't get a buildup of gases and a minor combustion. If your face was nearby, you might lose some eyebrows and eyelashes. So again, just make sure you're safe whenever you are trying to light this. Sometimes it can take a few minutes to purge all the air out, so don't panic. Just as long as you're making sure that you're hitting that sparker every few seconds, you shouldn't have a problem. But turn that over to the high option, hit the sparker. Of course, I fired up first time today just because I had the system running earlier, but that is kind of as simple as it is. It does fire right on up. And then to get the stove to light, it's the exact same thing. Pushing over the pilot option, pushing and holding that knob in, giving it a few seconds, hitting the sparker, and eventually, once that pilot would be able to light and stay lit on its own without you holding in on the button, you can turn it up to your desired temperature and it does fire right on up. Again, last note about propane, if you did go to try to fire up your water heater, furnace, or fridge and it didn't light the first time, it's always a good measure just to try it a second time, because again, it just could be something as silly as a purging issue. All that aside, that's pretty much it for the kitchen area. In the main living space area, both of these areas do fold down into beds. On this side with the couch, you just have to pick up at the foot of it, and then it would allow it to fold out. And then for this side, it's more of a dinette right now. But if you took your feet out from underneath the table, set your tabletop on its desired ledges, you could take your back cushions to fill in the center, and you would have yourself another bed. Now, also in the dinette area, underneath the cushions, you got two storage spaces in addition to the two storage spaces. So you got one storage space here, one storage space there. You're gonna notice the second sheet of plywood on this right side is gonna be the water heater. So that's how you get access to the back of it for those bypass valves for winterization if you're doing it yourself. And on the left side is where your water pump will be. And again, same thing, it'll be under that second sheet of plywood. Just lift it up and you'll be able to see it. Find that bypass hose, follow it back to the valve, give the valve a turn, and then stick your hose into your jug of antifreeze. Tons of storage throughout. Got your stereo system, which is pretty much just like home, minus the fact of zone 1 and zone 2. Zone 1 is interior, zone 2 is exterior. On the wall here, got your main furnace control. Temperature selection down below, all the way to the right is its hottest setting, all the way to the left is obviously its warmer setting. Up at the top is how you turn it on and off. So if you click it to the left, that's turning it on. Of course, we have the setting down low, so it's not going to fire up. Clicking it to the right is turning it off. Whenever you do turn on your furnace, again, it's going to be running off propane, so making sure it's purged first. And then whenever you go to turn it off, it does run for an additional 3 minutes after you turn it off, just to allow itself time to cool down. It's an added safety feature. The furnace is going to push all its air from this output right here. So if you want to get a little fan to blow some air around, it might be a good idea. But that's where your furnace will blow all its air from. Then you got your fridge up top. Opening up that guy, fridge, little freezer box up top, which is nice. Sometimes they don't always come with that. And then up top is your controls. So you push the button on. With it on, it's being flush. And with this flush, you're in auto. So it's going to first search for AC power. If AC power is taken away, it'll automatically switch over to gas. But again, for that automatic feature to work, it's going to be very important that you have the propane already on. And of course, the system purged. If you wanted it to run solely on gas, because you're out boondocking or whatever else, you can just depress the button and then it'll automatically fire on just gas. If this check light were to come on, that's just letting you know that it failed to fire on gas. So you'd have to check and look in to see what happened. If that were to happen, again, trying it a second time is very important. So just turn it off, give it 1 to 3 minutes for it to reset, and then try turning it back on. But with it flush, you're going to be on auto. Air conditioner above my head, a bunch of different options for louver control. You can run these open, in which case it'll dump all its air straight down. Closing them, you can open up each side. Has its own dispersal hole that you could use too. Controls are all right here. You're gonna have the gray setting, in which case this is just moving air around using the fan. There's no heating or cooling involved. And another note with this, with the temperature setting, the red, it shows red as heat. There is no heat pump installed on this. It's just an air conditioner because you have the furnace. So the blue setting is the only setting that's going to work. And whenever you're in that blue setting, on the fan setting, that's when the air conditioning is taking into effect. Gray is just fan to move the air around. Back off to cycle it to off. And then last but not least, we can take a step on into our bathroom. Light switch on the right. You're going to have the fan on your left, which is also hooked up to the switch right next to it. Other than that, it's your pretty standard bathroom, shower, toilet, shower curtain. Then on the wall, you got your main GFI plug. You got test on the right, reset on the left. Always make sure if you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, just give it a quick check, making sure that it's not tripped. Sometimes it can trip for the oddest reasons. Just make sure it's just not tripped. Now that is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.